He's the horror hunter from down under. He will go in search every week of the best and worst in horror movies throughout the month of October. His mission? Don't come back until he's found some of the best and worst putrid piles of horror goodness you could ever imagine. G'day boys and girls, I'm your host the Horror Hunter. Today we're going to be talking Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Now, Halloween 4 is interesting for multiple reasons. The first of which is the script was written right before a writer's strike out in Los Angeles, and it was only written in like 10 days, I believe it was. It's actually a really good movie, believe it or not. However, one of the big changes they made from the script to the screen was originally this movie was supposed to pick up right where Halloween 2 left off, and it was going to open with Donald Pleasance's character, Dr. Loomis, being blown through a wall as a result of the explosion from the end of Halloween 2. It was also going to show why Michael Myers was wrapped in bandages, and of course, explain why Donald Pleasance's character had burns all down the side of his face. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. Don't know why, but they did. So, moving on. Now, Michael's new target is his niece, played by the cute, adorable Daniela Harris, and her name is Jamie Lloyd. Now, Jamie Lloyd's character, it's never discussed who her father is, only that her mother's Laurie Strode. However, if you've seen the television cut of Halloween 2, then it ends different from the theatrical cut. And there's slightly more in the back of the ambulance with Lance Guest's character, who is holding her hand and looking at her lovingly. As a result, and I believe others have assumed that Jamie Lloyd's father could in fact be Lance Guest from Halloween 2. So, aside from Jamie Lloyd, who are the other characters in this movie? Well, really there's only two more to write home about. Ellie Cornell playing Rachel, Jamie's foster sister, and the returning, the great, the immortal Dr. Sam Loomis, as played by Donald Pleasance. Now this movie's interesting because they slightly revamped the Halloween theme this time around. It's actually one of my favorite versions of the Halloween theme. It's not a big overhaul, mind you, but they've added some more synthesizer elements and stuff to it. It's really cool, so I definitely recommend checking the soundtrack to this one out if you ever had the opportunity. The rest of the cast in this movie is basically just, well, who can we throw in Michael's path and watch him kill? I'm not even joking. No one really survives in this movie. So, how's this movie interesting if no one really survives and there's not a lot of story? Well, that's the thing. This is the closest movie, at least in my mind, to the original Halloween. Plus, it's also the most Halloween-y of the Halloween franchise, if that's even a word. Of course, I guess it is, because I just said it, right? Now, the reason this movie's so Halloween-y is because they actually invoke autumn and, the colors of the leaves, and they have kids in costume and trick-or-treating, as opposed to the other films where Halloween was sort of on the back burner to some degree because you basically only had a couple of kids in costume and a little bit of trick-or-treating going on, but not a lot. I mean, this time around they actually show kids walking down the streets in their costume, and it makes for an even better Halloween film in my opinion. Now, I love Michael Myers in this movie. I think his mask is really great in this movie. However, there's a really interesting part in the school scene in this movie. There's a scene where it looks like Michael has white hair, and there's a reason for that. That's because that was the original mask used from the 1978 film and all the earlier films. But the problem was, they shot with it the first day without realizing how badly it had faded, so the dark hair had gone blonde. So, that is the one scene in Halloween 4 where they used the original mask. Outside of that, they had to recreate the mask for Michael Myers. It's a great movie, and it's got a great twist ending that I will not spoil here because I want you to see Halloween 4, the first installment of the Thorn Trilogy. I definitely think you guys would enjoy it, and I want you to come back tomorrow when we're talking about Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. And I'll see you guys later.